Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Alex, and today I'll be taking you guys through the Milesight surveillance introduction. So firstly, to start off with, I just want to thank everyone for attending and taking the time out of the day to see the latest surveillance products that they actually have on offer. Some of you may have attended the previous Milesight training session as well, which was very much focused on the 5G products. This is focused solely on the surveillance products. So a little bit of a rundown on the products there. So the session's about 30 minutes long, and we'll be progressing, like I said, through the surveillance products mainly. Just as a quick point, questions are highly encouraged. Highly recommend that everyone posts through their questions. We've got Chris Sutherland, who is the product manager for Milesight, joining us today as well. He'll be monitoring the questions in the background, and he'd be happy to help you guys through this session as well. Before we start, I just quickly want to mention that we actually have a NFR promotion available on these products right now. So for any of the Milesight products, any of the surveillance products that you guys see today, you can get 10% off a NFR unit. The only conditions is that you must be new to Milesight, and it's limited to one device per reseller. So with that being said, we're going to do a very quick introduction to who Milesight is. I'll try not to bore you guys with the info there. It's purely just a very quick introduction, and then we'll actually look at the product itself. So looking at Milesight and who they are, Milesight's primary focus is actually on IP surveillance and artificial intelligence-enabled Internet of Things devices. They also do 5G devices, like I mentioned before. Milesight itself is a fairly large company with around 700 plus employees. Globally, they have around 2,000 plus system integrators and distributors, and they're sold in more than 120 countries around the world. So really a large company with an annual turnover of more than 60 million US dollars. So considerable. They are also a group, so they have subsidiaries, which we'll see shortly as well. Milesight's focus has traditionally been on surveillance, and some of you would have seen them in that space previously as well. But they've expanded massively into more of the IP telephony and 5G side of things as well. So the main focus, like I said, traditionally surveillance, and that's what we'll see today on their product as well. And they've also recently expanded into the LoRaWAN side of things, LoRaWAN side of things as well. Just as a quick point on that there. So like I said, Milesight Technology is the main group. They focus predominantly on surveillance and security. Milesight IoT is focused on LoRaWAN and 5G solutions. And then Yaystar is one of their subsidiary companies, which is predominantly focused on communication, VoIP, etc. So Milesight's not a small company. They have massive aspirations, and they've expanded massively over the years as well. So a quick look at how they've actually grown over the years. So they started with surveillance cameras back in 2011, just expanding on that through the years, developing better tools, better optics, better firmware, etc. Up to 2015, 2016, where they introduced H.265 enabled cameras and 4K. That's a pretty early adopter for the 4K resolutions and for H.265, so that really puts them out in front of the pack. In 2017 and 2018, they really expanded their range and the entire camera lineup, and they also introduced LPR solutions, which we'll see today. So LPR, obviously referring to license plate recognition, and we'll see that as we go through the slides. So in 2019, 2020, they introduced smart features like auto tracking, heat maps, deblur technology, etc., which is really what they're very well known for today. And then important in 2020, they also started to really focus on developing further into the AI side of things, and we'll really focus on the AI side of their business and their camera capabilities as we go through it. In 2022, they've also started to focus on the 5G-enabled routers, and like I said, if you want to have a look at the webinar that we did previously, it is available on the Leader Academy website, and we discussed those products at length there. So taking a look at how Milesight actually positions themselves, so you'll see a lot of the names that you recognize there. So Milesight tries to be in the middle of the range, so with Axis and Bosch taking the top tiers, but obviously incurring a big cost or price penalty as a result of that. With the small to medium enterprises really focus on the Hikvision, Dahua, etc. side of things, and Milesight tries to be kind of in between those two. So in terms of their position and in terms of their pricing, it's definitely not consumer or entry-level products, but they see themselves as a step above the traditional CCTV brands like Hik and Dahua, and really towards the middle tier. It also means their pricing stays fair, as their features are catered accordingly. So taking a look at Milesight and who they actually integrate with. So obviously compatibility is a massive thing. So OnViv is the standard protocol used predominantly through CCTV today. It kind of tries to do what SIP did for the VoIP industry. It is pretty much has become the industry standard, and it essentially means that if a device supports OnViv on the camera and a video management platform also supports OnViv, then it typically means they're compatible. You get different versions of OnViv as well, but generally it means compatibility. So what does this mean for you? It means you can integrate Milesight products into the video management software that you prefer. So if you have, for example, Milestone or Neo or Genetic or something like that, it typically can be integrated into that as well. So taking a look at their actual product ranges, so we'll be going through these individual product ranges in a bit of detail. So starting off with the mini camera series, pro camera series, they also have a range of pan-tilt zoom cameras, panoramic cameras for wide view areas, license plate recognition cameras, and even 5G enabled cameras as well. We do also stock the NVRs as well, and we will be taking a look at them as we go through this presentation. Like I mentioned, they do have 5G routers for both indoor and outdoor use as well. And then Milesight does offer a suite of video management software, which we'll touch on briefly as we progress through the slides. So taking a look at the mini camera series, these are really designed to be compact and small form factor. And that when you actually compare the size of the devices to like a mobile phone, etc., you'll find it's quite comparable. So really tiny devices designed to add to locations without being visually too obvious and without being too ugly, which is a big complaint of CCTV traditionally. They might be small, but in terms of their features, they're quite powerful. They have a range of resolutions, anywhere between 2 to 8 megapixel, so all the way up to 4K resolution, which is significant, especially for compact cameras. They're very robust as well, so IP67 ratings, which means they are outdoor ready, so they can be used in rain, etc., and they're also shockproof as well. Very impressive for cameras at this price point as well is smart IR technology. It's very important for surveillance at night. Essentially what that means is it makes sure that an image isn't washed out as a person or object approaches or moves away from the IR and away from the camera. It's really good at compensating for that. And then important, they are AI enabled as well, and we'll look at the various AI technologies that they can actually offer. As a quick overview, they can do stuff like region entrance and exits, motion and tamper detection, object removal, loitering detection, people counting, and a lot more. So the AI really means it's all done on the camera as well. So that's something that sets Milesight apart from competitors. Traditionally, your AI or your motion detection, etc., would have to be done on the video management software. With Milesight, you can actually do a lot of that on the camera itself. That means to you less workload on the server, which typically stuff like, especially license plate recognition, etc., would have consumed a lot of resources on a server to run that. If it's edge-based, it removes a lot of that requirement from your server. So the Pro series is a bit of a step up from the Mini series. It's more high-end, and essentially you get more features with that, as well as increased resolutions and increased sensors, larger physical sensors. It typically means better nighttime performance for you, and they do even have color night capabilities as well, which is typically cuts over to black and white. Along with that, they have improved WDR, which is wide dynamic range. We'll look at wide dynamic range as we progress through this presentation as well, but it basically helps with backlit scenarios. These cameras also feature higher frame rates, especially applicable to moving objects. So if you have cars, etc., moving through a frame, having a increased frames per second really makes a difference to what you can identify in images. It's ideal for motorways, fast-moving environments, etc. And then depending on the camera, you can also have optical zoom. So that's ideal for places where you can only install the camera far away from the object that you're trying to observe. And it means you can have a bit more flexibility in terms of how you actually deploy these devices. It also features improved IR range, so longer ranges. Obviously, it's important at night to get as much range out of the IR as you can, so that you can see objects and people coming on further. And then some of the cameras even have P-iris lenses. So P-iris lenses are really premium in the CCTV space or surveillance space. It basically means that objects get to stay in focus a lot better, especially when there's high contrast environments. It's better able to keep images in focus. These cameras also include AI heat mapping directly on the camera itself, which again is part of the AI range, and we'll see that as we go through the slides today. So looking at their PTZ camera range, so they offer a wide range of PTZ cameras as well. Taking a look at the pan, tilt speed, etc. So very fast moving. They can actually offer full 4K resolutions at up to 100 frames per second as well. I think the most important thing for most people generally is the optical zoom. So anywhere from 5 to 42 times optical zoom, which is very impressive. They do have very advanced functionality as well, like PTZ auto tracking as a person walks in front of the camera. You can set up privacy masks to block out certain regions, and they do even have little smart rain sensing wipers, which is important for deploying outdoors. So very usable, high frame rate as well, again ideal for fast moving objects, and you can completely obviously control the devices and pan or tilt into the direction that you actually need. Taking a look at their panoramic cameras. So this is ideal for getting overviews of larger areas, so 180 degree and 360 degree field of views. Important is that the cameras can actually de-warp the image because such a wide field of view typically has it has a bit of a fishbowl effect, if we can put it that way, where traditionally you would have to de-warp that image in the video management software. With Milesight, you can actually choose to de-warp the image directly on the camera itself and send that de-warped stream to the video management software, or you can still do it on the video management software itself if you want to. So again, very high resolutions, up to 12 megapixels, and this is really important, especially for panoramic cameras where you need to get as much detail as you possibly can. So this is really ideal for stuff like heat mapping and to track how people are moving through a building. Important and a very nice feature that's pretty unique to them as well is they can actually do fisheye auto tracking of people as they move through environments. The fisheye will pan and tilt with them electronically, so it's a very impressive feature to have. And then taking a look at the NVRs, so the versions that lead as stocks all have PoE output built in. Important to just take note of the PoE ports that are enabled on the devices. What this means to you is you don't necessarily need to buy an additional PoE switch, which obviously saves you a fair bit of money as well. Looking at the channel options that we have, so we have a 4-channel, a 8-channel, 16-channel, and a 32-channel version. A 4-channel version with one hard drive slots up to 10 terabytes for PoE ports. 8-channel version, again, 1 hard drive slot, 10 terabytes, up to a maximum of 10 terabytes for PoE ports. The 16-channel version, you can include up to 2 hard drives, again, 10 terabyte each, 16 PoE ports, and then the 32-channel version, which has 4 hard drive slots and 24 PoE output ports. So these products are priced very competitively. Just a note that the hard drives are not included. You still need to purchase those separately. But the NVRs are obviously a major part in any surveillance deployment, and it really streamlines things because it means you don't have to deploy the VMS software onto a server, and you can actually just use a dedicated piece of hardware for this. So if you have a customer with a single site, it's typically ideal for that type of environment. Then taking a look at Milesight's license plate recognition systems. So this is probably one of the most important or most impressive parts of the cameras that we've seen so far. So as a very quick explanation, LPR stands for license plate recognition. And traditionally, when you had to do a license plate recognition on a video management server, it would consume a lot of resources. Up to 25% of the system resources were dedicated to license plate recognition per stream. So when you look at the Milesight product, it can actually do this directly on the camera. So that is extremely impressive to have that video processing capability built straight into it. It requires a lot of processing power, like I said. By having it on the edge, it removes a lot of that processing requirement. These cameras actually do OCR, so optical character recognition, and can pick up plates from a wide range of regions, including Australia. We've tested it here. It works perfectly. We've ran images in front of it and points it at its license plates, picks up perfectly. So Leader doesn't stock all of the versions that we're displaying on screen, but they can probably be procured for larger deployments as well, so depending on your requirements. These things are typically ideal for parking spaces, road monitoring, gate control, etc. as well. So they do have support for outputs as well. So you can potentially connect them up to external sources as well. So that concludes the physical camera side of it. Next, we'll take a quick look at their software. So firstly, Milesight's smart tool, really what it's designed for is to help you find your cameras on your network and do bulk configurations. So essentially, you would install this on Mac Windows, and it would run across your network environment to detect the cameras, show you the IP addresses, and allow you to configure them from there. What is nice is you can actually do the configurations in bulk. So for example, if you know all of your cameras are going to be set to 1080p, then you can deploy that across a multitude of devices in one go. Next up is the Milesight MSight Pro app. And essentially that's built to run on mobile applications such as Android or iOS. And what that would typically be used for is you would use it to monitor and manage both IP cameras and NVRs. And it's more of a management tool with view options built in. So it's not really a viewing tool per se, it's more of a management tool that is available for free from Milesight as well. So the Milesight Smart Tools and the MSight Pro app are both available from Milesight for free. And then taking a look at Milesight's free VMS platform as well. So this is Milesight CMS. This can be installed on a PC or server if you don't want to go for a NVR option. And this effectively allows you to manage up to 256 devices. It provides a very streamlined and slimmed down interface, similar to how a NVR would look and feel. And it's typically used for single sites to monitor cameras, trigger basic alerts, etc. It can also do basic AI functionality. So for example, it can do license plate recognition and crowd management. It can actually do on the software itself. So important to understand that this wouldn't be seen as a full VMS system in the traditional sense. This is really slimmed down to provide you all the functionality you need, and that would be comparable to a NVR-based system, if I can put it that way. And then in terms of Milesight's full VMS platform, so this is their competitor to the likes of Milesight, Neo, etc. This is a paid-for version, but this offers and introduces a lot more functionality into the software. So it's a full VMS platform, and it's ideal for surveillance that spans multiple sites. It features stuff like AI deep learning, so all the AI functionality that we're going to see in the rest of the slides as well. It can actually perform that on the VMS server instead of the edge. It depends on how you want to do it. So it can do stuff like people counting, content analysis, line crossing detection, license plate recognition, etc., a whole lot more. So it can also be set up to better handle how videos are recorded and stored, and can also even encrypt the videos as well. So it has a lot more functionality than the CMS, which is also one of the reasons it's paid for. And then it uses its own mobile application for remote viewing. There is a free trial of this application or the software available that you can download and test for yourself as well. And then quickly taking a look at the features that stand out on the Milesight products. So in terms of night vision, like I said, depending on the camera series that you go for, if you go for the Pro series, they have larger image sensors, which makes them better towards night viewing and night recording. So night vision is typically improved by that. And like I said, you do even get color night vision options. So WDR, depending on the level that you go for, is better for environments with backlight problems. So examples would be cameras in offices that partially look outside. Normally, the inside would be blown out by light coming through the windows. WDR basically removes that and provides you a clear image of both inside and outside. So it's really powerful at doing that and makes sure that the image isn't blown out. In terms of image processing, so they have some built-in image processing technologies as well. So they have what they call de-blur technology. So it's not a silver bullet. It doesn't do what they do in the movies and just takes away all of the grain, but it does help with fast-moving objects. It uses AI to actually try and de-blur an image and provide you better clarity on, in this example, a license plate. They do also have defog ability, which is software driven, and essentially that helps you reduce the appearance of fog in video. And the way it does that is by just highlighting the darker objects in a frame. And then very important is that PIRS lens, like I mentioned before. So this is a hardware and software combination. It's a physical lens on the device. And what that means to you is it allows you to keep more of the frame in focus to remove that bokeh effect that you would typically get if you're using consumer cameras, etc., where the background is blurred and the foreground is in focus. For surveillance, that isn't great. Although it looks pretty, it isn't great for surveillance applications, and PIRS removes that. And then looking at the AI technologies, which is really what Milesight focuses on. So they do a lot of the what we call traditional AI technologies. So stuff like object removal, loitering detection, cross-line detection, tamper detection, normal motion detection, obviously part of it as well, region exiting and entrance, and then if you like left your baggage somewhere as well, that can be detected by the cameras. So it actually has a AI engine built in, and it will train the AI engine as it monitors the environment to try and improve accuracy all the time. So it's really, really powerful in terms of what it can do. And again, this is all built into the cameras, which is something that isn't traditionally seen in competitors. So some of these technologies, so for example, people counting, it's really ideal for shops and shopping centers. You can easily count the number of people coming into or out of a space. It's fairly ideal for doing stuff like occupancy monitoring as well. You can even set up a complete dashboard for that to show you exactly how many people are into or in a specific area and how they are coming and going and which directions as well, flow directions. So really powerful tool that you can actually use for your retail customers. And furthering onto that, it can actually do a regional people counting as well. And what we mean by that is it can monitor length of stay. So it will actually check in a specific area that you've selected how long the people are, for example, queuing. So it counts the number of people in the queue, and it can tell you how long on average they've been waiting. So this is a really cool tool if you have people queuing up for services and you want to trigger certain alerts if someone's waiting in queue too long, it can actually do that. So they also do vehicle counting as well. So it functions kind of similarly to people counting, but obviously tracking cars. And it's very easy to set up regions to monitor how cars and trucks, etc., are coming into and out of regions. It's pretty much ideal for traffic analysis. So if you think about parking lots, small roads, etc., it gives you a very easy overview of how the cars are coming into and out of an area, and how many vehicles are actually in a specific space. And then another feature that they have as well is facial detection. So just important to differentiate this from facial recognition. So facial recognition is tied to a central database, etc., and to monitor or to get a list of people entering an area. Where this isn't that. Essentially what this is designed for is it will identify certain traits based on a person's facial expression. It will identify their age, gender, whether they're wearing glasses, whether they're wearing a mask or cap, etc., etc. So all of that can be picked up from it, and can even do expression monitoring. So it can pick up if a person's angry, etc., as well. So they are looking to expand this functionality. It's still very much in its infancy, and this technology over the years has grown massively, but that is what it can do at the moment. And then one of the features I think is pretty cool for construction, especially if you have a lot of customers in the construction space, it can actually do hard hat detection. That's a very cool feature. So if, for example, a person in the area isn't wearing a hard hat, it can trigger alerts. It can inform, I can send an email, for example, to inform people that someone isn't wearing their hard hat. And this is AI driven as well, so it will automatically monitor in the area. And if it picks up that someone isn't wearing it, it will take the appropriate action from there. And then, like I mentioned before, they also do heat mapping as well. So if you want to see how people are traveling through a space, which areas get most frequently used, this is ideal again for retail spaces where you would have people walking into a specific room or area, and you want to see how they're actually moving across the environment and where it gets the most or the least attention. This is ideal for supermarkets, and you can easily see which regions people spend the most time and cater your products towards that as well. And then very quickly, obviously with the full Milesight suite, like we mentioned before, we do have the 5G routers available as well. So if you have surveillance applications that require you to deploy these solutions in areas which typical fixed line access isn't available, 5G is a very good option, specifically because of the high video demands. So for example, the high bit rates, etc. That would typically require extremely fast internet connection. And with 5G connectivity, you can actually do that. And it also means you can deploy more cameras in areas which don't typically have a fixed line access as well. So with that being said, like I said before, it's a very quick introduction to the Milesight brand. There is a lot more information available on the Leader dealer shop as well. We also, we're planning to do more of these webinars in the future as well, so we'll expand on the product ranges, etc. But should you require any info on the specific products or specific Milesight surveillance devices, it should be available there. And we'll quickly take a look at the questions that you guys posted through. If you have any additional questions that you need to have answered, please post them through now. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Okay, here we go. Can you send me more information on the 5G cameras? Absolutely, we'll do that, John. No problems at all. We'll send that through to you. Like I mentioned at the start of the session as well, we do have the previously recorded webinar that briefly goes through the 5G devices and what they're actually capable of, which is available on the Leader Academy site for you guys to browse through as well. Any other questions are most welcome. Okay, so with that, I don't see any more questions coming through, but you guys are welcome to reach out to us afterwards as well. So for any additional information, you can simply reach out to your account manager, or you can email sales@leader as well, and we'll assist you guys from there. With that being said, I'm going to end off the webinar. Thank you guys so much for attending. I really appreciate your time. And this webinar will be made available as a recording as well directly after this event. So you guys are free to download it from there. Thank you so much.